what makes religious trauma especially frightening is that it can make even your mind feel unsafe. And I think that is one of the reasons it can feel especially invasive. Not because it is automatically worse than any other form of trauma or abuse, but it is actually because it can become more total. So what do I mean by that? It is the key word here. So becoming total. So it means the whole of the person inside and out. For example, a person can threaten you from the outside, let's say physical abuse, but religious and spiritual trauma can make the threat feel like it is outside of you, inside of you, above you, after death, and even in your own thoughts. Think about it. So the fear is no longer just someone might hurt me physically, yeah. It actually becomes I am fundamentally bad or unsafe. Stay with me here. My thoughts are being watched. My doubts could condemn me. Even if I escape people, I can't escape God. Yeah? There's more. Then thoughts like punishment could happen now, later, or eternally. I might not survive Armageddon. God's approval depends on my obedience to his representatives. And that is such a psychological bind. It is actually extremely, extremely traumatic because it cuts so deeply. Religious and spiritual trauma does not just affect your behaviour. It affects your idea of good and evil. Think about that. Your sense of who you are, the trauma, yeah, the relationship to your own body. I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't be my real self. Your ability to trust your own thoughts. Maybe the demons put those thoughts in my head, so you don't trust them anymore. And then you've got fear around death, punishment, meaning of life, belonging. Am I going to go to hell? Am I going to get destroyed in Armageddon? So the wound is not just social. It can become existential to the very core of your own being, of who you are. And that is the huge difference between what religious and spiritual trauma is. Because if a human being threatens you, at least in theory, you may be able to run, hide, block them, leave the room, leave the relationship, move countries. Yeah, you can kind of escape from that point of view. But when the threat is framed as divine, all-knowing, all-seeing, and eternal, there may be no obvious place inside yourself that feels safe anymore. Or outside or inside. And it stops being only, I'm in danger. It becomes, my own mind is not safe. You no longer trust yourself. My own thoughts could betray me. I am being watched even when I'm alone, and that is something I will never forget how I felt. There is no private self. You feel constantly invaded. And that is why this kind of trauma can feel so inescapable, and people struggle after leaving religious environment. It colonizes your internal world completely. So it's not just your behavior, it's like your soul has been invaded. So it's not just relationships with other people, but your conscience, your imagination, your body, your sexuality, your private thoughts, your identity, and even the sense of what it means to exist. All of it is affected. That is why religious spiritual trauma can feel existential rather than merely interpersonal. So I think that the mind reading piece is incredibly important here, especially for those who still believe in higher power, even when they leave a religious organization. So when someone is told that God, Jehovah, spirits, or some divine authority can see not only what they do, but what they think, what they want, doubt, fantasize, or feel that even in their inner self, it stops being private. So you've got invasion of privacy everywhere, and that can create very obsessive self-monitoring. That's something I experienced as well when I was a Jehovah's Witness. You have intrusive guilt. You have constant panic over, my thoughts are wrong, I'm bad. You fear your own mind. You fear what you think or feel. And a sense that you have to perform purity, even internally. And that is not a small thing. That can be profoundly traumatizing to your sense of self, your psyche, your mental, emotional trauma. And I think that is why this kind of trauma can be so powerful, because it's so invasive, because it often fuses fear, morality, identity, attachment, and an existential threat to your very being. And that's, you think what that means. And the fusion of all that is what makes it so intense. So just to give an example, let's say an abusive partner might say, if you leave me, I'm going to destroy you. A religious system might say, if you leave, God will destroy you. Your family may reject you, your thoughts are sinful, your body suspect, and your only safety is submission to us. So whatever church, organization it is. That is such a sophisticated form of control. Think about it, because it is presented as truth. It's presented as love, morality, salvation, and the person may not even realize for a very long time that they are living under threat. It's a constant state of survival. So when I say religious trauma can be especially invasive, that is what I mean. So it does not just threaten the person from the outside. It gets into the conscience, in your thoughts, your identity, your body, your sense of self, inside your own mind. That's how psychologically damaging it is. And what makes religious trauma so invasive is that the threat can stop feeling external, start living inside the person. And I think a lot of us, whether that's ex-Jehovah's Witnesses or any other religion, I've experienced that. And sometimes, even years later, the healing can be so difficult and it has to be taken seriously. And in the next video, I'm going to discuss some of the things that can assist in the healing process from religious or spiritual trauma. So I will see you there. Thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.